is it. Here we go. It is episode 182 of NoLaughTrack podcast. My name is Justin Severson, the host. Circle of Heat, guys, thank you, because I know the whole band listens to hear me thank them on the podcast each week for playing their music. So thank you, guys, Circle of Heat. Like I said, episode 182, and my guest is back, one of my favorites, because we never run out of things to talk about. It is Jackie Kashian.
Hello and welcome to me. Hello, Justin.
Hi, Jackie.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Beautiful basement downtown Acme. Super fun.
Yes, with our stocking caps on.
Right, because it is a little chilly in here. Because it's 27 degrees outside. It's January.
Mine's for fashion, strictly.
Oh, really? Straight up?
No.
Straight up fashion. Own it. That says nothing says Farm and Fleet like that hat.
No, but you know, actually, when I have a confession that when I first got here and you know we chatted for a bit, then I went to use the restroom. I looked at myself in the mirror and I haven't got a haircut since before I got married back in October.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So I looked at myself in the mirror.
You got some hairs.
Yeah, and I had some hairs coming down underneath the hat. It looked like it was my eyebrows that were about 3 inches long, how it was sticking out. I'm like, I hope she didn't think I'm that sloppy right now. But anyways, the hat's going back on, and that's my plan after today. I'm going to get a haircut.
All right, 110% of your body heat comes out through your head, so you might as well just cover it up, keep it in, keep the furnace stoked.
Yes.
So I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Yeah. It's Wednesday. You did a show last night.
I did do a show last night. Very nice people. Never a bad crowd. Never a bad crowd at Acme. It's even if they're quiet, even if it's a Tuesday or if Friday second show, they always get everything. They don't necessarily, like, I have a new Bill Cosby Scott Walker joke.
Oh, why?
And, sure, nobody wants to hear that. But they were sad about it. But, they got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing about Acme, is that they get everything. They may not like it. They're, like, very Minnesotan about it. They're like, I don't know.
Is,
that seems.
Scott Walker joke work everywhere?
Oh, yeah, because he was running for president for a while. I'm sure no one's sadder than he is that he's quit before the crazy truly checked in, right?
Right.
Because when Mario Rubio or whatever their name, Ted Cruz is
I like Mario.
Is it?
Is it a Marco?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Is it Luigi? I think it's Luigi and Mario Rubio, the Rubio Bros.
The Mario Brothers.
They're plumbers, and they also run for office.
That's right.
It is Marco, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a classic. It's a classic Cation-ism, not knowing a name.
I'm surprised I knew.
It's
to be honest.
well, I never, there's a consistent, I do the Dork Forest, right? I have my podcast, The Dork Forest, where I'm consistently not knowing things. And now I'm doing a new podcast with Lori Kilmartin over at Nerdist. And I'll tell you something. She's very smart and very well informed. I'm smart. I'm not saying I'm not smart. I'm just saying I'm not very well informed. I don't know who the fuck anyone is. And then I thought I'd swear about it. But, I can't keep everybody's, I can barely remember my own name. So I'm not going to keep everybody's names straight. I'm very sorry.
You know, when you bring up, being well informed, here's we had the news on the other night at home, and
Mistake number one.
Well, okay, you just probably answered my question already, because I still enjoy watching the news, except I skip through the weather because I can look outside and figure out what that is.
See, now you're doing it exactly opposite of me.
Really?
Yeah, because here's how I like to receive the news. Much like in Pioneer days, I like to get it 3 weeks late with a lot of analysis. I can't stand a 24-hour news cycle because they're rehashing the same 5 things, and what they're doing is they're trying to get you scared about stuff every 20 minutes. Every 20 minutes, they're like, did you hear about Iran? Yeah. Did you hear about North Korea? And then 20 minutes will go by and they're like, hey, did you hear about Iran? Did you hear about North Korea? And you're like, is something new happening? No, same shit.
What do you mean? It's breaking news.
It's breaking news for 3 days.
Yeah.
I would like to break the news. The news is relatively broken. I'd love the news. And I've always had the opinion that I can't, because they want me to be scared, It started probably 15, 20 years ago with the invention of the 24-hour news cycle, but it was always like, even regular, like, local news. Hey, do Skittles cause VD? I used to do a joke. Find out at 6. And then you tune in at 6, and you'd find out at the end of the newscast that Skittles do not indeed cause VD.
I thought you were going to say that they're actually pushing it back to the 10 o'clock news then.
Oh, well, I would not have been surprised. They're like, we're going to do this story again, and we're going to tease it the same way. And it's just, it's just a Chinese water torture of be scared all the time. And so I will not live like that, And
I stay pretty clear of the 24-hour news stations, but the local ones I do still enjoy.
Right.
And we had it on, and my
local
wife goes,
can be hilarious.
She goes, I can't do it. It's all just terrible news.
It's just death and mayhem and disaster.
Yeah.
That's why I like to read the news.
Yeah.
I read the news on the internet, and I don't get a paper. Sorry. And, but our neighbor gets a paper.
I do, and I never open them.
You don't open the paper? No. We have an iguana, so we need the paper.
No,
no offense to people who work at the paper. But, we have, so I read like BBC.com, and I read The Guardian, and then I get the KTLA, which is the Los Angeles local LA station.
Yeah.
I get their Twitter feed, and so I get updates from BBC and Guardian and KTLA and LA Times on my Twitter feed, and so I'm like, oh, something's happening. The other day in my neighborhood, I live in the Valley. I live in San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles, and I was trying to leave my neighborhood, and there was a helicopter way low, and all the streets were blocked off with tape. And the cops were like, turn around, go back west, and go around. And I was like, and so I tried to look up on the news what the hell happened.
Right.
Nothing. So either nothing happened, or it didn't end up being anything?
Or I thought maybe you were going to say it happened so often that no one notices.
Well, I was looking, it did lead me to is it led me to a website that I was like, hey, there were 10,000 murders in our neighborhood since 2000. And my husband comes over and he's like, that's insane. There's no way 10,000 people were killed in this neighborhood in the last 15 years.
That doesn't seem possible.
It wasn't. And it was plenty of people. 181. That's a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And 108 of them were killed by the police.
Whoa.
Yeah. I think it was, or was it the 18 that were killed by the police? It was, you know what I got? I got just enough information to really fuck with your politics, you guys. That's why I don't do any political material. That's why the weird Scott Walker, Bill Cosby joke is so weird, because you're like, I don't do political material because while I always have an opinion, I don't always have all the information.
I love it. Why not, right? How was, we're a week after, we're just into the new year.
Here we are in the new year.
Here we are. What did you do last week for New Year's Eve? Did you work?
I did not. I blessedly did not work. And, I don't like to, we went out. My husband's a game designer, so we met with a bunch of his friends and played a lot of games, board games and card games and board games and then card games.
Oh, wow. And
then we played a game. And then it was New Year's and we drank Martinelli's. So we know how to party is what I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. And there were children there, and it was lovely, quite honestly. But we got a bunch of games I got a bunch of games for Christmas. I got, there's a game I love called Pandemic, which is, there's an online version where you play the virus, but this is a board game version that's a cooperative game where everybody plays different members of the CDC, and you try to stop a virus.
Okay.
And you almost always lose, and everyone dies.
Wow.
It is hilarious. And you try your damnedest to stop all these viruses, but it doesn't always. But so Pandemic is a game that I've always enjoyed. It's one of my favorite board games. And for Christmas, I got something called Pandemic Legacy, which is a new thing that Mattel or Hasbro or whoever is making these games, because there's one called Risk Legacy that we've got, and you've played Risk.
Mm-hmm. Years ago, but yeah.
So Risk Legacy is a game that you only play 15 times, the board game. And when you play with the same 4 or 5 people, if you can, that's the idea, is you play with the same people 15 times, and then you burn the game. I don't know what happens. You throw it out. It's a $75 15-time game. And but the deal is this, is that when, like in Risk, you go around and you blow things up and you take over armies and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, there's nukes. And so if you nuke a country, you actually take a marker and exit off of the map.
Oh.
And so the next time
Never
you
used
play
again.
the next time you play it, there is no Great Britain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Great Britain is gone. So you can no longer settle Great Britain. You can't send your armies there. You got to work around. You got to do a little workaround.
Weird.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm liking this.
Yeah, so that's Risk Legacy. So Pandemic Legacy, I haven't opened it yet, but I assume it's comparable. Because as you play 15 times, you're supposed to play with the same 3 or 4 other people. And you just keep trying to stop the damn virus and probably lose.
Remember the game Stratego?
I do remember Stratego. I loved that when I was a kid.
I did too.
It was a weird kind of battleship-y kind of game. I loved Battleship too.
Yeah.
It's certainly random enough that it didn't take a lot of, it wasn't a skill game, if I remember correctly. It was kind of a hit and miss kind of game. Yeah, it was a lot of guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also played a game called Timeline Challenge. Regular Timeline is a card game for like 7 and above. And it's essentially, it's different historical cards. It's historical events on cards.
Okay.
And Timeline, the card game is you just put those, you deal top of the deck, you deal a historical event. And then from your hand to 5, you have to put other historical events before and after that in the correct order, and you get as many points as you can do it. So it's an awesome kind of history memory game. Because if you play the deck more than 5 or 6 times, you're like, oh, I remember when the bikini was invented, 47 or whatever. And, but the board game Timeline uses the decks, and then there's there's mini games in it and challenges. So anyway, we play a lot of games on New Year's Eve.
That game fears me because I picture myself playing with my kids and getting
your ass handed to you.
Exactly.
Fair enough. It's because they've learned things before you.
Yeah.
Or they just learned them, and because we played, there was I think a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old, 14-year-old. And they both did pretty well.
Yeah.
Because they had a better grasp of what the hell just happened. And the rest of us are trying to remember.
Where's the life experience game? I'm going to kill you guys.
Oh, I think there was a zombie game that we were playing too. It was pretty funny. Anyway, but that was fun. And yeah. Other than that, what else am I into? The Dork Forest. I just did Pat Sussmilch. Do you know Pat Sussmilch?
Well, of course I know Pat.
He's a
been
local
on the show.
comic.
He's working here this week.
He's featured for me. He's so funny, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
And everyone should come out. But
he's very funny.
He came on the Dork Forest and talked about his dorkdom, and it was also my dorkdom, which is we dorked out about something neither of us have seen, which is the musical Hamilton.
Okay, now I listened to, you do that little, like 4 or 5 minute clip that you put online.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Teaser?
Yeah, the teaser clip.
Yeah, I listened to that with Pat.
Oh, good.
Because I know Pat. I want to check this out.
That's what the teasers are for. You're like, oh, I get a snippet of it, and at
worked.
least.
And for the first 2 minutes, I'm looking at the thing that says Hamilton, and I'm like, what? What's Hamilton? It took me a while to
realize that it's the guy on the $10 bill.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right, he was the first Treasury Secretary, and was killed by Aaron Burr in a duel. That's all I knew going in to the soundtrack to Hamilton. But now I've watched. Here's a news thing. I've watched every news clip of the play Hamilton because it blew up. It's a very big deal on Broadway right now.
Yeah.
So 60 Minutes and MSNBC and PBS and everybody have done, because it makes history fun.
Mm-hmm. The 60 Minutes one is the one I saw, so that's my reference.
So I have seen probably 20 minutes of clips of the play. I'm like, you're missing a segment. I'm not seeing that part of the play that I wanted to see. Could you show that? I was like, there is a 10-minute clip of a bunch of like strung together. And there's a great scene that I had not seen, which was the sisters, the Schuyler sisters, the woman who married Alexander Hamilton, her sister who had a crush on Alexander Hamilton, and their third sister. They do like, I can't remember the name of the band, but not like the Pointer Sisters, but they do kind of what was the band that Beyonce was in?
Destiny's Child.
Yes, it looks like a Destiny's Child video to some extent. But they're singing and they're all wearing these 18th century dresses and and the costumes are beautiful and the music is great. It's hip hop and Creole kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ended up listening to you. Oh, you did. If you saw the 60
minutes thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've gone down a Revolutionary War rabbit hole because Sarah Vowell has a new book about the Marquis de Lafayette, which was Lafayette was the guy who talked the French into supporting the Revolutionary War.
Yep.
And but get this, all of these guys in 1775, they were like 19, 20 years old. Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr, and Marquis de Lafayette were all like 19 and 20. And you're like, wow. I mean, I suppose that's who does a revolution.
Well,
like
true.
Young,
cocky
angry,
kids.
cocky kids who are like, well, I have nothing to lose because I have nothing.
Invincible.
And
I'm only going to live till I'm 40, so I got to get this done.
And they were all orphans. They were all like all three of them. Their parents died when they were kids.
Oh wow!
It was how weird is that? Yeah, like Alexander Hamilton, his parents were unmarried in 1757. His mother ended up being a prostitute for a short amount of time in the West Indies, and she died when he was 10. Wait, no, his dad left when he was 10. She died when he was 12. So, and when he was 14, he'd been living with a cousin. That guy committed suicide. And then there was a giant hurricane in the West Indies, and he wrote like this scathing treatise of how angry he was about life.
Wow.
And it was so well written that the town that he's from was Trinidad. They took up a collection to send him to New York City to go to college.
Wow.
He blew their minds
That's
when he
wild.
was like 16. They're like, you should go to college in New York City. And don't forget where he came from.
Yeah.
And, but he was of Scottish ancestry. He was an immigrant, came to New York. And then Aaron Burr, his parents died when he was like 16 or 17. He inherited a giant bag of money. And then weirdly enough, Marquis de Lafayette, his parents died when he was like 12. And he inherited all of the money. He was the richest orphan in France. And he was directly related to the king.
Uh-huh.
So he was engaged by the time he was 15. and his wife to be was 12. And that girl's mother was like, yeah, this is great. Let's not tell them they're engaged until the girl was 18.
Holy crap, you've learned a lot.
I know, I've learned a lot. I've gone on a rabbit hole. There's a David McCullough book from about 10 years ago. The guy won a Pulitzer for it. It's called 1776. It's a history book, but you could listen to it on tape. I'm looking forward to it.
When are you going to get to the actual the Broadway play?
No, it's sold out until forever.
Oh. And
you can get sort of secondary market tickets, but they're $500 a piece.
Holy crap.
And I don't know if you know this about stand-up comedy, but it's not the most lucrative business you've ever chosen.
500.
I know, a piece.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
Yeah, dodgy. Though they give away 10 tickets every day. It's a Hamilton for a Hamilton. It's for $10. They pick 10 names.
Brilliant.
And it's $10 in their second row seats.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's they've got thousands of people showing up. And yesterday, for the first time ever, they did an online version of it because it was crowding. It was too many people were showing up. So like, we're just going to do it online. And it crashed the server.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's blown up.
No, I was telling you that I was listening to one of the episodes of the Dork Forest.
Yeah, which one?
Here. Well, first I want to say that and I've said this to you on my podcast before. I love the theme song. It's super
Mike
catchy.
Rickberg.
Yep, it's super
wrote,
catchy,
composed.
and so I'm going to be humming that thing for the rest of the day. But the one I listened to, I skipped over. No offense, Pat. I skipped over the Pat Sussmilch on the way over here.
You listened to the teaser. You're good.
I listened to the teaser.
Did you listen to the Robert Hurt one about
no.
spaceships?
Will Wheaton.
Oh, that's a good one. That's that Dork Luminary.
Right.
That guy's Dork royalty.
Well, that's why I went to it.
Yeah, and he makes beer.
Oh.
And he's a beer maker.
Okay, I didn't get
that's
that
his
far.
dorkdom. His dorkdom is that you must have just got the introductory thing.
Oh, I was probably, what is a 20-minute drive? I listened about 20 minutes on the way over here.
He makes his own beer, and so we talked about that, and then we talked about board games at the end of it, because he has that tabletop show.
Yeah.
And
now, you guys brought up a word, I don't know what it means, and I could have looked it up in the meantime, but I want you to
I'm right here.
LARP.
Oh, LARP. LARP.
I don't know what that is.
Live action role playing.
Live action role
Oh,
playing.
you probably just got to the part where, because I was explaining about LARPing.
Yes.
To Will Wheaton, and there was a Sandman LARP.
Yes.
That he perked up about.
Very much so.
Yeah, which is weird because he went to college with my husband. They went at the same time anyway. And with Chris Hardwick as well.
Okay.
And Andy ran a Sandman LARP. Sandman is a very famous comic book in comic book circles. And Neil Gaiman, the guy who wrote Stardust, I think it was called. And Coraline. There were a couple of movies that were just made that Neil Gaiman had written the stories of.
Oh, okay.
But he wrote most famously Sandman, which is the story of one of the gods of sleep, right? He's a god of sleep. And and it's on DC's parallel called Vertigo.
Is this like the Sandman from like Batman Sandman?
Kind of, yeah. And it's but he did such an amazing job with it. So to LARP is to live action role play, and it's essentially a costume party with game mechanics. Right? So when we did a Deadwood LARP at our house several iterations of it, and I did craft services. I always do craft services. So, and it was based on the TV show Deadwood.
Okay.
And, but Andy's run a bunch of them. And a buddy of his runs a Star Trek-y kind of one called, Starship Valkyrie out of LA. And you get to, and I did that one. I was the medical officer. And you get to play a part. And you're given, there's like a game, there's an end game. Like there's a win situation where you can win.
What, really?
And you could dress up in costumes as much or as little as you want.
Okay.
And you stay in character, but you don't have to stay in character the whole time. Andy did a LARP with his buddy Scott Rogers based on the TV show The Venture Brothers.
Okay, yeah.
And they played the two the Monarchs minions, 22 and 24, whatever their numbers are. And Scott Rogers had never done a LARP before, so he never went out of character. He didn't want to break character because he thought that was one of the rules. And Andy could not stop laughing. My husband was like, it's okay. No, go. Keep going. It was because the LARPing, a LARP can last.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, if people are coming over, you're getting together to do this.
It's like a party, so it can last 4 or 5 hours.
Okay.
So Scott Rogers stayed in character for 4 or 5 hours, and you're like, you want a soda or something?
Weird.
Yeah, it was pretty great. So, but there's different kinds of, there's a LARPing episode of The Dork Forest, actually.
Oh.
Where that's earlier in the year, and it's, there's a couple of them, because there's different kinds of LARPing. There was a duo that I did a live episode at a convention in San Francisco. The Library Bards, they do, parody songs, right? And, but they do a lot of LARPing, but they do what is called boffer LARPing. Andy and his friends do something that is called theatrical LARPing.
Okay.
And he started doing LARPing before it was called LARPing. That's how old we are. He started when it was super nerds and you were shoved in your locker, for making up a word like LARPing. But he was, it's just, they would just dress up and play. It's just like playing cowboys and Indians or cops and robbers or soldiers and spies or whatever.
Okay.
But it can be, we're going to play Star Trek. We're going to play, Tarzan.
Yeah.
And, so
no different than my kids playing house.
It's
maybe,
exactly.
right?
It's and the thing is, but everybody's got disposable income, so they've made costumes and they have accoutrements and the food is better. So,
better than Cheez-Its?
Better than maybe not. And so so he does theatrical, and the Library Bards did boffer LARPing, which is the kind that is mostly mocked in television shows like Bones and Castle. Like there's usually like it's sort of more Ren Fairy because there's
that's
more
what I'm picturing. Yeah.
Fake swords and stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's more fighting.
Oh.
Like you throw beanbags at each other and you sword fight. And then there's a whole other level, by the way, Justin. There's something called SCA, the Society for Creative Anachronism, which I've heard of, and I have a friend who was in and out of it, and that is also, it's kind of buffer in the fact that there's fighting and stuff, except for that everything is has to be historically super accurate. And so everybody's really worried about their underwear or something. I mock, but I mock with love, SCA people.
Wow.
Because it sounds really cool, and I want to do all of it. I want to play whatever game you want to play.
Yes,
I don't care.
This LARP is pre-vaccination, so you're going to get...
I'm going to play the lady who dies in childbirth. Is that too much? Is that too soon?
It's getting
nobody
gangrenous.
nobody ever wants to. Whenever they do the Civil War reenactment guys, they never want to play the guys where they don't have penicillin. Nobody ever wants to play that guy. Aw, or maybe they do.
No, that's funny. Did you know that there's a you're competing against a tattoo convention this weekend? Did you know that in Minneapolis?
I did not.
Yeah.
Tats galore.
Yeah.
Do you have a tattoo?
I do. I have 3. I have 3.
Your body is finite. I like that you had to think about it, though. Where are they?
I haven't got any in 20 years.
Oh, fair enough. Where are they being kept on your person?
Upper arm and then 2 on my back. Actually, I take that back. The most recent one I got, who's Ashley, who's now my wife. Before I was just sniffing around, and we were in.
That sounds romantic.
Well, those are her words. Those were her words back in the day.
Thank God.
When I asked her once, where are we here? Like, what's going on? She said, we're still sniffing each other's butts. Like dogs.
There's a reason why you two are together.
Right?
Because that is hilarious. Yeah. You know, I asked my husband one time, because we went and, when he introduced me to his family, his entire family, he grew up in Central California with his parents, who both left this tiny town in Mississippi. But we both went back to Mississippi to meet all of his family, including, by the way, they took me to the graveyard to meet the ancestors.
Whoa.
I was like, wow, I'm meeting the whole family. And so whatever. But every single one of his female relatives in our hearing said, so when are you guys going to get married? Are you guys going to get married? Are you guys going to? And he had just bought a house and we had just moved in together. Yeah. So I was sweat equity, right? Comedy. And so, but we had bought the house and then we came home and then we moved in and we were sitting on the couch one of the first nights we lived together. And I said, I didn't know, because it was my first real relationship. Yeah. And we're sitting on the couch and I said, I didn't know how to ask him where we were at. And so I said, Andy, you ever think about the future? And he said, you mean like having a 30-year mortgage with somebody? And I was like, never mind. Because I don't know. Right? I don't know how to ask. It's like the first time you ask for a raise where you're like, you're stumbling around. And I remember, do you remember the first time you asked for a raise? Mm-hmm. And how sort of what a hack job you made of it. Oh, yeah. But you did it. Yeah. Did you get the raise?
Yeah. You know what? I'm actually thinking the second time it happened, and I did eventually. Yeah. But it took about a month, but I did.
Right. I remember asking for the raise, and my boss made fun of me because of the way I asked. And I said, hey, this is my first time asking for a raise. I think I need a raise. And he was like, no, you're getting a raise. But I just think it's funny how you're hemming and hawing around it. And I was like, all right, next time I ask for a raise, which might be tomorrow. So, but there was some.
Oh, I remember practicing basically because I wrote it out.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to send an email. Nope, I'm going to do this in person, but I'm going to go off what I wrote in this email.
Right. And you should always practice.
Yeah.
You should always practice whenever you're doing any sort of giant questions.
It works.
When you asked your wife to marry her, did you practice that?
No. Nope, I didn't. I mean, I had a little plan, but no, not exactly.
Right. There was no script.
No script.
Fair enough.
Hold on, honey. Hold on. Let me unfold this piece of paper. Let me get to the right email.
Just check my words.
No rehearsal on that. But it's funny you ask about that because she did a few weeks later ask me to do it again and add a few things.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I was like, that's not
happening.
No.
Maybe
like
we can have post-negotiate. You should have said no.
Maybe yeah, right. You're the one that I already got you.
Right. You already said yes. The die is cast. I have your signature on this small document.
Exactly.
I know it's a placemat at the restaurant where I asked you, but I filled in all the words.
Exactly. Yeah, I saw someone tweeted you and said, why is Jackie Kashian not in the new Ghostbusters?
Oh, yeah, that was interesting that guy did that. Mm-hmm. was
You
a
know
guy.
why? Because he must think you're a very funny woman, and it's an all-female cast.
Right, everybody. And then there were people who were sad that it was an all-female cast, like the other one is not available. You can always watch the old one, which was, by the way, holds up. Have you seen the old Ghostbusters? Have you seen Ghostbusters? Mm-hmm. Holds up just fine. Mm-hmm. Super funny and shouldn't, because it's dumb. Maybe it holds up because it's so dumb, and it will always be funny. And but it's super funny.
It's our, we don't get to see Rick Moranis anymore.
I'm actually okay with that. No offense, Rick, but I'm sure he bought land. I hope he bought land. But I'm psyched that Melissa McCarthy is in anything, quite honestly. Because Melissa McCarthy, did you see The Heat ever?
I didn't.
She also came out with Spy, right? So Spy was but The Heat is with Sandra Bullock. And I laughed. I don't even like physical comedy. I laughed. I cried. I laughed. She's pulling people through windows. She's climbing over fences, and she's like my size, right? Yeah. So we are not thin, tiny people. And it's like, who did Big Guy in a Little Tiny Coat?
Chris Farley?
Chris Farley. Yeah. So it's exactly like that. It's like if I were to do physical comedy, part of the hilarity would be because someone who looks like me, which looks like the mother of four, is climbing over a damn fence. And you're like, well, that's always going to be funny. But what I loved about that movie was that it wasn't just that the physicality really was the thing that put me over the edge.
Okay.
But the writing, there was so much cursing, and there was so much quipping, and there was it is Sandra Bullock was panting to keep up with Melissa McCarthy, and Sandra Bullock loves physical comedy, and and there was probably one gross scene in it. There's always one gross scene for me. Gramication over here doesn't like a gross scene, and so there was some tracheotomy that was done in the middle of the heat. When you see it, feel free to fast forward. Okay. There's also a poop joke in 2 weeks' notice. Fast forward through that. There's really no reason. I don't know what's happening, but who is that for? And it's like, did you see the Chris Rock supposedly high five or top five or whatever?
I never did. No.
It was supposed to be a romantic comedy, and Rosario Dawson was the only actor in it. And she was great. Okay. But that is it. It had some good scenes in it, but everybody kept saying it was Chris Rock's Annie Hall. Oh. No. And I've had the hardest time with Woody Allen ever since he married his stepdaughter. But Annie Hall is amazing.
It's a great movie.
And by the way, also holds up.
Yeah, I agree.
Chinatown will creep you out now, though. Anyway, just because of that guy getting arrested. Anyway, but clearly Ghostbusters has already been cast. Yeah. And so I tweeted back at that guy and at Paul Feig, who is directing Ghostbusters. Because he directed The Heat. Right. And I said, I would like to be in The Heat too. If you guys are gonna redo The Heat.
Brilliant.
More Heat.
Yes. Let's get it out there that you're a big fan.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. And I've always wanted to do a sort of a Home Alone kind of comedy with me and like Wanda Sykes or anybody else, where we both work at Target. And somehow there's robbers or terrorists or something is happening. And we have to fight the robbers or terrorists using Home Alone, like all the plastic crap at Target. That's good times.
Are you writing that? You should be
Why
writing
am I not
that.
be writing that?
Yeah.
Why am I not writing that? I don't know. Somebody else. Write that and cast me in it, because it's a lot of work to write shit.
I would go see that.
Me too, quite honestly, even if I wasn't in it.
Do you remember the movie from like 30 years ago when the guy got locked in Target? The employee? Now I can't think of what it's called.
No.
Oh, my goodness.
It should have been called Hard Target. So that's what I always picture. It's me using, because I don't think Target sells guns. No. But they do sell Nerf stuff. And I think that just because I like the idea of like when you cock a shotgun with one hand, like they do in the movies, and they just go, Hard Target. Or something absurd. I have some free time, turns out, in my brain box.
Well, it helps the imagination.
Right.
That's a good thing.
Keeps it going.
Since we are sort of talking about acting here.
Yeah. I got to do some acting
Let's
this
talk
year.
about it. Yeah.
I got to be on Marin on IFC, where I played a podcaster named Jackie.
Crazy.
And then I'm going to be on Maria Bamford, Minnesota native, Maria Bamford from Duluth.
Yes.
That's where Duluthrans are. And according to my 5-year-old niece. And she's got a new show coming out in its entirety on Netflix, one of those Netflix sitcoms.
Yes.
That's, I think, going to come out in March, and it's called Lady Dynamite. And I have seen an episode.
Okay.
And it's funny. Thank you, God, it's funny. I was like, because when your friends do stuff and you're like, please be good, please be good, please be good.
Yeah.
And it is. It's really funny. So, it's dark, but it's funny. But so is Maria.
Right.
And, so it's perfect. But I played, a comedian named Jackie on Lady Dynamite. So I got some range, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
But I also did a sketch written by an old, Minneapolis comic who, doesn't work the road anymore, but he came up with me in the 90s, named Jim Wooster.
Okay.
He wrote a sketch that I did called, the hell is it? Damn it. Affairs of the Heart, maybe? And it might be the name of the sketch. It's on Vimeo.
Okay.
And it's not safe for work unless your work is very different.
Unless you work at a preschool. Then
Right, then it's fine. And it's essentially, I play, it's just one of those kind of diner-esque kind of things. Me and my daughter supposedly are talking over a table.
Uh-huh.
And she has discovered that I cheated on her father.
Oh.
And so we're having, and it's hilarious. And it's super dark.
This.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a 3-minute sketch. Cause I needed to show that I could act.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, I need a sketch. Somebody write something. And Jim was like, I have that. Do you want to do that? And I was like, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I totally want to do that. So
that
was fun.
So season 3 of Marin.
Yep. Season 3 of Marin, season 1 of Lady Dynamite, and a sketch. And then, other than that, I did a weird storytelling thing that was on the front page of AOL by Purple Clover. Did you see that?
No.
It's sponsored by Always, Old Lady Depends.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
it was
see those commercials.
Right. And so they asked me to come in. They asked me and Wendy Liebman and a bunch of sort of middle-aged white lady comics, not just white, lady comics, right? Women comics. And, they were like, hey, do you have any stories or jokes that could be told in story form about how it doesn't suck being a middle-aged lady? And I was like, sure. I think all my act is entirely, essentially getting married when I was 40 is kind of a thing, right? There's hope. There's hope. You could find a love interest in and me, it was my first. So I'm a beacon of hope. Anyway, so I go in and they had approved my story and I go in to shoot it and they said, oh, by the way, this is sponsored by Always. These underpants. These disposable underpants Always.
Yes.
And I was like, okay. And I don't care. And they said, do you have any stories about wetting yourself that might be funny? And I said, no, I have a lot of stories about throwing up on myself because I'm a comedian and I've drank too much, a lot. And they said, no, we're looking for, and I said, do you still want me to tell the thing I was going to, and they said, yeah. And so they put the Purple Clover, Always things are on the front page of AOL for a while.
Uh-huh.
And the weirdest thing, they didn't do it for Wendy either. They don't put your name, like Jackie Kashian comedian. They didn't credit me. And I was thinking about why wouldn't they have credited me? And I thought, well, maybe they thought I'd be embarrassed because it was an underpant company sponsoring it. And I was like, did they not know about the weird, like, Maple Grove choo-choo bar that I did in the 90s that had a train that went around the bar and I had to work my punchlines around the choo-choo. Oh, no. And there's 7 career drunks at the bar and playing trivia. I mean, I don't have any pride. What do I care? But they're my jokes, so I would like people to know that I wrote them.
Absolutely. Or you wouldn't have done it.
Right. Well, no, they paid me. It was nice.
Wow, there we go.
Cash.
Okay.
Anyway, so.
Fair enough. Says it all.
Anyway. But, so that wasn't acting. That was more storytelling. Yeah. So that's all but I'm willing to act. I'll play Beyonce's weird white ant. I don't give a shit.
Not?
Yeah.
I am fascinated by those commercials with the old woman underpants.
Yeah.
Because they advertise them as like you can't even tell she's wearing them. I wasn't looking anyway.
Right. And sure you can. And it's like when you
I have ears.
Right. Well, that's it. The rattle, the paper just crackling in the background, where you're like. It was, Tina Fey in her book was talking about how when you, like when you use pads for your menstrual cycle. Fascinating topic. They're just so, nobody can tell you're wearing them. Well, you can, because you're sitting on a pillow. And they're so fucking huge that you're like, I am done. So
did I notice on your phone it has a Star Trek?
Oh, yeah. It has a Star Trek communicator case. Because it's my communicator. Sure. I like Star Trek.
That's awesomely nerdy.
Yeah, it is. Did you see Star Wars?
Of course.
Did you see Mad Max?
You know
Fury
what?
Road?
For some reason, I knew that Mad Max was going to come up today, and I almost watched it last night because I never saw it. And I know it's like one of the best movies of last year.
Turns out it's 2 car chases. One going, one coming back, and there's a guy with a guitar where that flames come out of it. So
Mad
if
Max's?
if you have a 14-year-old boy inside of you, you will enjoy that. I keep saying that. As a woman, to say that you have a 14-year-old boy inside of you, that's awkward.
How about the spirit of?
The spirit of thank you. Please clean that up for me. And, cause that got inappropriate. Okay. But it was super fun. It was just, it was all Cirque du Soleil guys, just hanging, and he shot it live. Like it's not CGI.
Oh, okay.
It's dudes hanging off of a Jeep.
I
It's
never
pretty
saw
awesome.
it. I want to. No, you know what we put on last night?
What'd you put on?
From your home state, Making a Murderer.
Yeah, I don't need to watch The Making a Murderer because they're making murderers every day. Every day they're making. I was like, because it's so huge, right? Everybody loves it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've never been a fan of true crime. Like Michelle McNamara, who has been on the Dork Forest 3 times, and every year she's the top 10 episode fan favorite of every year she's ever done. And because people love true crime, people are like, look at this, true crime. And you're like, yeah, all the crime shows, like I don't ever watch any of the ones that are more realistic. Like I don't watch SVU or, the Law and Order.
Yeah.
Like I watch Castle and Bones where there's like superhero hologram, the NCIS where the science kid she's like, well, there was a one flake of a skin cell and I've come up with this hologram of what the killer would look like.
Yeah.
Nope. But I like that more than more realistic stuff. So How to Make a Murderer is just another, though my friend Lori Kilmartin did say that it ruined the Wisconsin accent for her. It's no longer sexy to her.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, because that can't possibly have ever been sexy to her. And
that reminds me of the, I was listening to that, it's that 24/7 comedy. I don't know. I pulled it up on a iHeartRadio thing, and I heard one of her bits on there yesterday.
Oh, that's great.
And it was the one about when she's talking about the father of her child and the age difference.
Yeah.
And then
what'd you use for contraceptive? That one?
No, and then she gets down to it's 11 years, so sometimes I like to think back that when I was this age, he was that. And then she gets down to the, of course, then when he was 7, I was 18. And he's like, oh, and then her joke is like, oh, no, all the guys are interested. Now that part doesn't sound creepy to guys, but to women, that's terrible.
Well, and it's because she did this whole thing about how she got pregnant inadvertently. And so she does this joke, and one of her friends were like, well, what did you use for birth control? And she said, my age. And because she was 40 when she got pregnant, and
love it.
So, but yeah, actually, recently I've been listening to Pandora has a comedy, like a women in comedy channel.
Oh, okay.
Which somebody had told me that they heard me on, and I was like, oh, I wonder who else is on that. And so I plugged it in, and it was Whitney Cummings, and Whitney Cummings, who had 2 TV shows like 3 years ago. And so she was getting kind of a lot of guff from the other comics that I knew, because I think they were kind of jealous. And so I had never heard any of her stand up or seen her do stand up. And now I've heard her do stand up on the Comedy Channel thing. And then I saw her do a set at the Comedy Store about a month and a half ago. She's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turns out not a hobby. Turns out that there was some success for some reason that made sense.
Turns out she just didn't fall into those TV shows.
Right. Turns out that she could pony up once she got the opportunity.
That's funny.
It was she had a funny joke at the Comedy Store about how, and I can't even remember the punchline. It was just the premise about how she had always dated guys who had more money than she did just because she did comedy. And, now that she has a giant bag of money, the guy that she is going out with doesn't have any money. And so she's like, now I get why you guys are mad all the time. because I saw him the other day and he was drinking a coconut water, and I was like, how the hell did you afford that? Where'd you get that? And I don't know what the punchline was, but it was like, it was such a comeuppance kind of thing where I love a joke that is like that, where you have the realization that, oh, I'm a dick.
Yeah.
And you're like, I may not be the hero of this story. Fair enough. Okay.
I'm going to say it anyway. That's funny. So we only got through the first episode of whatever the murder show. But
Oh, yeah?
I'm sure we're going to go. I liked it. I'm going to go through the other 9.
Yeah, and there's 10 episodes, and
Yeah.
it's supposed to be what did I watch the other night? I watched all 4 episodes of a new TV show on Sci-Fi called The Expanse, and it's a new science fiction. It's great, actually. It's sort of noir-y and set out in Mars and a space station and old Earth, and it's kind of fascinating.
Oh, wow.
And they're using some great actors, like weird actors that you've sort of seen, but not like all character actors.
Okay.
Everybody's really weird looking.
Yeah.
It's not normal Hollywood. Oh, look at Super Fox. Look at Super Foxy Dude, and look at Super Foxy Lady. It's kind of normal looking people that are also very fit, clearly doing sit-ups. And, but more interesting looking. And some old people. There were some old people. There was a fat guy. Things were working out. We're all being represented on Sci-Fi Channel.
That's good.
The Expanse. And the writing is really great. I guess it's a book. I guess it's a series.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah. It's not, I don't know if you have cable, but I don't.
I do, and I can't wait to. My goal
Cut the
is
cord?
to cut the cord. But
We cut the cord and we got-
contract with satellite.
Oh, they have a contract?
Yeah.
Wow, you're the last guy to have a contract.
Yeah.
That you're not month to month? That's weird.
No.
Huh.
2 years.
Another 2 years, or just
no,
you're in the middle of a 2 year?
I'm in the last year of 2 years.
Huh.
The finish line is in the future. I could see it.
You can
off
see
in the
it.
Distance.
You're almost done.
That finish line of my bill being ripped up and going, nope, not doing this.
Gonna buy some HD rabbit ears and
I just
and
saw
Chromecast.
I pre-recorded an episode with Andy Erickson that people are going to hear in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And we talked about, like, she just did something based on, like, her long run on Last Comic Standing and the tour and everything. They did a thing that's on NBC's new
CISO.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, it makes complete sense. No, I'm not pushing that on it. Like, I'm not advertising that, but just things like that are, then
Yeah.
I can pay for what I think it's like $4 or $5 or whatever it's going to be. You can get these access to all current shows that you watch a day after.
Yep.
And all this archive of old shows.
Well,
I could get by on that.
Well, like my nephew has our Netflix. Like everybody shares Netflix passwords, and so whenever I want to talk to my nephew, I just change the password. Hey, he's 23. Check in. And but we have Netflix, of course. Then we have my brother's HBO Go, and then I have my sister's Hulu Plus.
Yeah.
And then I have my own Amazon Prime.
Yep.
And then we have Chromecast, which is just you stick a USB port and then you can throw anything from your iPad or your computer onto the television, so it's YouTube and whatever. Plus we have a PS3, and then this is the thing you're going to miss, and you have to figure out how to do it. I bought a DVR, or I got a DVR from TiVo. They sponsored the dork for us, so I got a free one. I don't know how much it would be, but it's a DVR from TiVo that will record regular television. So, like, because we have an antenna and we want to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I like the cooking channels on Create, which is the PBS. It's Idiot Food Channel. Okay. And it's free.
Pudding.
Right, it's American Test Kitchen, Cook's Country, Martha Stewart. And, so those are it's essentially the Create is the travel channel and the food channel and the Discovery Channel all in one. And then we get 2 PBS channels, one from LA and one from San Diego. And then we get 1,000 Korean, Armenian, Spanish channels. That's just regular. That's the antenna, like the HD antenna. So, but the TiVo, this particular TiVo is just a regular HD, and it's an antenna TiVo, DVR, which is great. You're going to miss the DVR is what you'll miss. So you got to figure out, and you don't want to VHS stuff. You don't want to just record.
In fact, I got to go back and watch, I had my DVR set to record all last season Marin. I never watched all of them. But when I found out that you were on one.
Oh, there you go. I still haven't seen it.
I didn't need to search it because I had it on my DVR.
Right. I still haven't seen it.
See?
How did I do?
Great.
All right, good. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, I didn't.
I stole those shoes. I'm wearing them this week. They're Pumas. They're quite nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say that. Anyway.
Well, I'll admit something. I'm sharing my Netflix account with my mom. So
with your mom.
Yeah.
Oh, and well, you ought. And they don't care. They're like, no, please. And we actually have the Netflix, which is streaming and a disc.
That still exists?
It still exists because there's things that aren't streaming.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, sure.
Like we just watched the movie Bullet, Steve McQueen, and it's not streaming. It's only available as a disc.
Have you? And this is something I want to ask you about. This is a total dorkdom thing. I saw something. Somebody wrote a story about how Lego are. And I've been saying this recently because my oldest daughter we bought her some for Christmas. She got some from her grandparents.
She's on board.
Yes, and Lego. This doesn't seem like they ever go down in value. I look on Amazon or eBay to try to buy more stuff. Old, new. It's not. None of it's cheap. Used stuff. Not
even the blocks. Just the weird elements.
Yes,
they're called
expensive.
Yeah,
very expensive. And I just read an article this morning about how, honestly, like if you would have been investing for the last 10, 15 years in Lego instead of like a 401k, you'd be doing better.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think there's an end to Lego. Lego's a win.
Have you watched the Lego Brickumentary or whatever it is on Netflix?
No, I saw the Lego movie,
yeah, right.
which I enjoyed thoroughly.
Yeah.
I liked it better than Frozen.
Never got to Frozen. No.
Well, you're not
I have
missing
two daughters,
anything.
and I successfully missed Frozen.
Congratulations, because it's a story of the worst parenting ever. But I do play, Disney has a Bejeweled thing called Freefall, and they're based on different movies, and the Frozen one is the best one.
Okay.
But it's funny, because when you win, Elsa gives you like a fucking golf clap. She's like, congratulations.
Oh.
And I was like, nope, I would like, and even the snowman character, he's not as excited as I want him to be, but and they're all sad.
Did I please you, Elsa? Did I please you?
Exactly. Golf clap.
Did you like the new Star Wars?
I did like the new Star Wars. Essentially, I thought it was the first. It was a great reboot. J.J. Abrams is really good at Star Wars. He gets it, and I'm looking forward to what was this one? This was 8 or it was 7? Yeah, I'm looking forward to 8 and 9, which are both written and directed by Rian Johnson, the guy who did Looper.
Oh.
Remember Looper?
I do. I saw that. Yeah.
Looper was great.
Uh-huh.
And I guess J.J. Abrams read the script for 8, and he was like, I want to direct this. And
I hadn't heard this. Okay.
Nope, Rian Johnson's gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I like Rian Johnson. I wish it makes me want to see the rest of his stuff, because I had a guy named Ben Acker on The Dork Forest, and he talked about how Rian Johnson was one of his favorite writer-directors of all time. So, I understand there's a lot of other really great stuff by Rian Johnson that I haven't seen, but I've only seen Looper.
Sure. Did you brought up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which my wife and I watch. Are you caught up on this season?
Oh, yeah.
You are. I am not.
I'm looking forward to Agent Carter, which is coming out in the mid-season here.
Oh, okay.
Which is the 40s agent. Did you watch the first season of that?
No.
Okay, it was great.
I didn't.
It was Agent Carter was in the movie the first Captain America, the first Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
She played his girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah, and so it's just following her after he dies in quotes, and it's the first season was great.
Okay,
it was so good, and I'm looking forward to that because that's the mid-season replace. They just did a one-off, and they were like, oh, people liked it.
Yeah, I saw Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes back in March.
And then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes back in March. Where'd you leave off in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
4 episodes of this season, maybe.
So you're kind of real behind then.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, it's amazing. It's a great season, quite honestly.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Is it a big deal to you that Joss Whedon is done with Marvel?
No, I think he's right.
Okay.
Yeah, because the thing is about Ultron, Age of Ultron, is good, but like I think he got mad because he wasn't allowed to do whatever he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said that. I don't know if that's true, but it was too the newest Avengers was too blow uppy for me. It was too transformery and not enough heart. And because did you see Ant-Man?
No.
Ant-Man's great. They nailed it.
That's what I've
They
heard.
stuck the landing on that one.
That's what I've heard.
Michael Douglas, of course, is an empty vessel. You can pour any character into him, and that guy just pours out of him like a great actor. And Paul Rudd really, you would have thought he would have been too old to play anybody.
Yeah.
But he really did it. He did a great job.
Are you excited about Deadpool? Is that a thing on your radar?
You know what? I read Deadpool because Brian Posehn was writing it for a while.
Yeah.
With, Jerry Duggan. And they did a great couple of arcs, Brian Posehn, of course, a comic. And, but the movie looks really fun, but there's a lot of people kind of whining about it but there's so much whining online that I can't really invest in that.
Sure.
I'll see Deadpool.
Yeah.
I'll see a test pattern if the colors change often enough. I can't
With a John Williams soundtrack, I would watch.
Right. It seems soaring. It'll be soaring. And, so whatever.
That's funny. What else? What's coming up this year for you?
Oh my God.
People should know about.
I'm working a lot, and then I'm going to Harry Potter World.
What?
I might be a bit of a dork. I think we have safely established that Jackie Kashian has some nerd culture.
Where you're going to go drink butterbeer somewhere?
I'm going to go drink butterbeer in Orlando at the Universal Parks Harry Potter World, and they're building one in LA, but the one in Orlando is twice as big. It's going to be 2 or 3 times. It's twice, and so. We're going at the end of January, me and my fella, and I'm really looking forward to it because I love Harry Potter. My current album is called "This Will Make an Excellent Horcrux."
Damn right, great special.
Great special.
I own it
because it's full of my soul, and but yeah, so we're gonna do that, and I'm working the road a bunch this year, and I'm hoping to do some more acting. I don't know how that'll work because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of plugging along, seeing if anybody cares.
Sure.
And then supposedly I'm supposed to do At Midnight again next week or the week after.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Awesome.
I like At Midnight a great deal.
I do too. I saw a thing this week online where I saw a list of all the guests this week.
Yeah.
And there's Erica Rhodes, who's been on this podcast, is going to be on this week. But I noticed Doug Benson was every night. It was Doug Benson and then 2 rotators.
First of all, who doesn't want to do that? But I don't know that I could actually, you could do Doug Benson each night and it would be fine.
Yeah.
And, that's hilarious. Frickin' Doug Benson. I love Doug Benson.
He's one of the best.
This guy's just a treat. There's guys like him and Greg Proops and, that I find a delight. Greg Proops did, something the other day where he mentioned me. He was nice enough to mention me in some media outlet or whatever. And I don't know if you know we were talking about movies. Doug Benson has he has his podcast, the smartest podcast in the world or something. Nope. Smartest man in the world, Greg Proops. Mm-hmm. And then he genuinely is almost always the smartest guy in the room. The guy is really smart. But he has another podcast, a movie podcast, where he shows the movie. They're live episodes. Mm-hmm. So he talks about the movie he's going to show for 10 or 15 minutes. Then it goes silent, and then it restarts again. They're only half an hour. And then he talks about the movie for another 20 minutes. So it's about 35 minutes. And then you get his opinion and the audience, and he did Pillow Talk. He's done Bullet. It's what made me see Bullet.
Oh, wow.
And he's done some of the great movies of the 70s, and he did Point Break. It made me watch the original Point Break, which I had never seen.
Oh, wow.
And yeah.
Dead presidents.
It was a lot darker than I thought it would be, Point Break. I was like, I thought this was supposed to be, it's sort of like Saturday Night Fever. Did you ever see Saturday Night Fever?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be just a dance movie, but there's that gang rape scene that's always very disconcerting. You're like, this isn't disco. I don't remember there being raping in a car in disco. I think that wasn't.
But everyone survived that.
Right. I think there was some emotional damage. Yeah. So his is one of my favorite, podcasts, and he's just a great comic as well. He could do 5 nights of At Midnight too.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying. I'm talking about 3 things at once.
That's okay.
It's a classic. come see me and do stand-up comedy. Watch me do 3 jokes at once and then fire the punchlines.
So yeah, once again, we'll wrap it up here and say that you're here this week. Today's Wednesday. If people hear it today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Right on.
And then you're probably hitting the road when to go back home when it's 0 degrees on Sunday. I'm guessing.
Right. I was on. Yeah. I'm going home on Sunday, and then I'm in Tacoma, Washington next week. So I did Madison a couple of weeks ago, and then I'm doing Minneapolis, and then I'm doing Tacoma, and then I'm in San Francisco doing Sketchfest, and then I'm doing Seattle. I'm doing a benefit for Kermit Apio's high school, his kids' high school.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that'll be, because Kermit Apio is the best person ever. Go see Kermit Apio if you get a chance.
Yeah, but that reminds me, I need to do a little crap talking to him because my Vikings are playing his Seahawks this weekend.
Those are football teams, right?
Those are football teams.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. That's why I didn't bring up football, because your response is, those are football teams.
Those are
right?
football teams. Something happened with the Packers last week, and everyone was sad for a minute.
Right.
And I follow Cy Amundsen on Twitter and Facebook, and no one is angrier about football than Cy Amundsen. It doesn't even, like, if things are going well, he's mad at the other, like, he's just kind of shit-talking the other team. And if things are going poorly, he is just decimating his own team emotionally. And you're is that fun? Are you having fun? As long as you're having fun.
That's what sports are about. Getting it out. Jackie, this has been fun.
Thanks for having me again, Justin.
Let's sell these shows out, huh?
Yeah, come on out.
Come on out.
And hilarious.
You're working with Pat
Sussmilch and Greg Coleman, who I've never seen and was really funny last night.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been on the show too. People should check that out.
Excellent.
Cool. Thanks, Jackie.